My name is Carl Gorham. I'm the author of The Owl at the Window. The Owl at the Window is a memoir about my wife's illness, her premature death, and my attempt to rebuild my life afterwards with my 6-year-old daughter. It's part love story, it's part bereavement diary, and it's part tales of single parenting, all done in a series of snapshots, key scenes that describe that journey. I suppose the reason I wrote the book like I did is because in my experience bereavement is very much a mixture of emotions. There's a lot of different things going on. Someone once described bereavement as an emotional tumble dryer, and that's certainly been my experience. And as well as the obvious sadness and difficulty and the many challenges that you face, there was also for me a lot of dark humour in it. One particular example of how everyday life intrudes on grief. There was an incident around the time of the funeral where I was getting a lot of cards, those lovely, with deepest sympathy cards, very emotional messages from people, and I was getting loads of them every day, and I was going through them, and obviously they were inducing a lot of emotion in me, a lot of tears. And one particular day I got a huge pile and I was working my way through it, and it was really an exhausting process, and I worked my way through, got to the bottom, and there was one gigantic card, and I went to open that thinking, how much more can I release? I'm kind of at the end of my tether. I picked it up, I opened it, it wasn't a card at all, it just said, "So you think you know Croydon? Think again." And it was actually an advert for a new housing scheme in South London. And that's an example of that kind of, again, real life punching in on your grief, not letting you stay with it so long. Reasons I wrote the book, there are many reasons I wrote it. I wanted to express that particular range of emotion that I found in my grief. I hadn't really seen that in other memoirs, this very complex mixture of the sadness and the difficulty of it all, but also those moments of humour. I wanted to write a record as well for my daughter. I wanted her to have something to refer to in later life, to look back on, to have as a solid record of maybe what had happened. And I think in a philosophical sense as well, the cancer that my wife suffered had been such an incredibly negative and destructive thing. I had a really strong sense of wanting to somehow make something in a very physical sense that was an antidote to that, something that I could literally almost put in my hand and hold,